Okay, today I'm going to talk about the Zion Subway. The Zion Subway is a destination hike to a location that you're looking at in the video where people come from all over the world to get pictures that look like this. It's named the Subway because of the way the rock is rounded out by the water over thousands of years so that the canyon actually looks like a subway tunnel. There have been a lot of people that went here and they kind of got in over their heads. So I wanted to put together a video to give you information on what to expect so you can be better prepared and have a safer, more enjoyable hike. So let's get into it. There are two ways that you can approach the Zion Subway. You can go the top-down route, which goes in the Wildcat Canyon trailhead and comes out the Left Fork trailhead, or you can do the bottom-up route from the Left Fork trailhead, go in, go to the subway section, turn around and come back out the way you came. And that's the first bit of advice I can give you is choose the right route. The top-down route is a technical canyoneering section. It's not a hike. People will argue, and somebody's probably watching this saying, oh no, you can make it, it's a hike, it's easy. That's not true. It has 2 to 3 rappels, swimming sections, down climbs. It requires helmet, harness, rope, and the experience to use all those things. People have gone in top down expecting a hike and gotten themselves into trouble. Now, I'm going to focus on the bottom-up route because I have a healthy respect for the sport of canyoneering, and you probably shouldn't be watching some random guy on YouTube giving you advice on how to canyoneer. If you want to get into canyoneering, and it's an incredible sport, go find an outfit that is close to your home, that has qualified trainers and people that can give you courses in a safe, controlled environment to build the fundamentals of the basic skills to do canyoneering. Learn from that and then grow from there. Don't just go out with random people that say, yeah, we're fine, I know how to do this. Technical canyons need to be approached from a very respectful way because things can and will go wrong really fast. Editing this, and I just realized that I forgot to say distance and the elevation change on the hike. The hike itself is about 4 miles in, 4 miles out, 8 to 9 miles total. My guy said that the elevation change was about 435 feet. That's loss going in, gain coming out right at the end. Took us about 4 hours each way, but they say you can do it usually around 7 to 9 hours. All right, back to the video. So the subway is in high demand, and as such, it's protected by Zion National Park through a lottery permit system. I'm not going to get into the details of the permit system. They're always changing these, so what I say today could be invalid in a couple of weeks. But the important things to take away from this video, permits are required, permits are hard to get, and permits go up 2 to 3 months in advance. There's a very slight possibility that you could get lucky with a cancellation, but don't bank on that. Google Zion Subway permits, follow the links to the park website, and read up on how to get the permits. You come to the trailhead, park your vehicle, display your parking permit on the dash, and start hiking. So right here, the trail starts out, it's fairly flat, pretty obvious, but there are other trails in the area that branch off. I highly recommend you study the route, look at a map, and have some type of GPS device to have your route marked. Overall, it's not that difficult, but you don't want to waste time wandering around in the woods trying to find the right way. Anyway, short walk, you come to the top of the canyon. You're looking down this 400-foot elevation loss over a very short distance, so it's a really steep hill going down. Now, there are 1 or 2 railroad ties. Otherwise, it's fairly unmaintained as far as trails go. Lots of big rocks, loose rocks, very steep. Trail branches off in a couple of sections. It's intimidating. If you get here and look down into this canyon and think, wow, I don't know if I can do that, might be best if you turn around and go hike something else. And that's a big part of why I put the video together is people go in and they expect a very defined, clearly marked, and straightforward trail like the Riverside Walk or something that's actually paved, and that's not the subway. This is an unmaintained backcountry route, and it needs to be approached with that in mind. That said, I'm assuming you aren't deterred, you head down the trail. Take care, just go slow. A lot of loose rocks. It'd be really easy to dislodge them onto people below you or have people above you dislodge them coming down towards you. Be careful, take your time. Luckily, it's over very quickly. Once you reach the creek bed, take a second. This is a very important spot. Take a look at your surroundings right here and try and make a mental note of any landmarks so when you're coming out, you see the exit. There's a sign here, but as you can see, it's tiny. It would be very easy to walk right past this sign. And in fact, many groups have done that. And that just adds miles upon miles of walking down the creek to nowhere. So you definitely want to know where the exit is. Anyway, from here, start hiking upstream. Now, for the next 2.5 to 3 miles, it is creek walking. A trail on one bank, that trail eventually will die out into the creek. You go through the creek, pick up the trail on the other bank, repeat over and over and over. Now, when it comes to creek walking, I used to have water shoes and I would try to keep my hiking shoes dry. I quickly just abandoned this, and I will take regular hiking shoes, put wool socks or neoprene socks, depending on what the season is and how cold the water is. Just hike on through it. That's what I recommend here. Approach shoes work well, canyoneering shoes work well, but just any standard non-waterproof hiking shoes with decent tread are going to be fine. But there's no staying dry on this hike. Along those same lines, people have asked, do I need a dry bag? Is there swimming? You should be able to get all the way to the subway without getting in above your knees, possibly up to your waist. So you don't have to worry about that. But just know that it's slow going. There's a lot of stopping. What's the right way that I should go here? Trying to negotiate these obstacles that present themselves to you. Whatever your normal hiking speed is, just assume that you're going to go at most half that speed. Which brings to mind another thing that's nice to have is a headlamp, because it's easy to get caught in there much later than you expect. As far as wayfinding in the creek, not difficult. You're following the creek. As long as you don't accidentally climb over a mountain on one side of the canyon or the other, you're fine. Follow the creek going upstream on the way in, downstream on the way out, and you'll be fine. Other gear that's nice to have, I always like to have a med kit, at least the basics for blisters, minor cuts and scratches. For clothes, it depends on the season, obviously. Layers are always a good idea. In the desert, it's big swings in temperature from morning to noon, and then in the evening it gets a lot cooler. Obviously, if you get into the winter months, it's going to be a lot colder. Summer, it's going to be a lot hotter. When I've gone, it's just quick, dry clothes. There are some times where you'll get into the brush, but it's not covered in thorns, like raspberry bushes, cactus, that sort of thing. So I didn't have a lot of worry about getting my arms and my legs all scratched up. A lot of the hike is in the sun, so you'll want sunblock or SPF shirts, that sort of thing. Food for probably 7-8 hours worth of hiking. Be on the conservative side there. Water filtration device, which I'll come back to water in a minute. GPS device, camera equipment, and then finally, I like to have a PLB, a personal locator beacon, or some kind of satellite rescue system as well, just in case. Now, to circle back to the water issue, Zion has a problem with this cyanobacteria. There are these algae blooms that release this toxin into the water, and it can be harmful or even fatal to pets, children, even adults. You're not supposed to drink any of the water. They don't even want you to walk in with open cuts and get water into your body through that. There are different times of the year where this is worse or not an issue. You can check at the backcountry desk, but I strongly recommend you just approach the hike as if the water in the creek is undrinkable. That doesn't mean that you have to bring and carry all your water. There are springs along the trail, the most obvious of which is right at the subway section. So halfway through your hike, there's a pretty reliable spring that you can take the water out of. Some people will drink it straight out of the spring. Personally, I like to filter it anyway, just better safe than sorry. I would ask at the ranger station when you're picking your permits up what the spring conditions are like. I'm not 100% positive if they always run. Other considerations, weather. You're in a canyon, so check the weather up until the point that you lose signal. They will also tell you at the ranger station what the weather forecast is, but they make it really clear when you pick the permit up. You sign a waiver that says that you understand that this is a backcountry route and you're responsible for your own safety. If there's a good chance of rain, don't go in because it's a canyon, it can flash. As far as the best time of year, I've gone in the late spring, early summer. It can be very hot. You have to take that into consideration. As you get later in the summer and into the fall, you're in monsoon season, which has a higher possibility of these very violent monsoon storms and flash flooding. Get into the winter, you have freezing cold temperatures, possibly snow, ice to deal with. And eventually, towards the latter part of the winter, early part of the spring, you can get spring runoff that can increase the flow and make it impassable. Normally the subway is spring fed. You don't have to worry about variations in flow except for rain, but spring runoff can also add to that. Take those into consideration. So after hiking for about 2.5, 3 miles, the scenery starts to change dramatically. Canyon walls get a little bit tighter and the creek bed kind of becomes this red rock. The going is a lot easier and there are these beautiful waterfalls. The scenery itself is gorgeous, but the other good news is when you see this, you are really close to the subway. Eventually you pass the last waterfall. Around the corner, the spring is going to be on your left, looking up canyon, and there's the subway. Explore the area, hang out, eat your lunch, just relax, take your pictures, and enjoy it. This is your destination. So you eventually come to a section where you can't climb up any further. This actually is the last rappel if you're doing the technical section from the top down. But there's one more feature here that you can check out, and that's Keyhole Falls. In order to see Keyhole Falls, it's kind of tucked back in this little chamber at the very end of the canyon. There are a couple spots here that the water is really deep to the point where you might even have to swim. Personally, I think it's worth it to see the falls. They're really unique and beautiful. But just know this is the one spot where you're going to get really wet if you want to get up here. Anyway, whether you've just checked out the subway or you went all the way to Keyhole Falls, once you're ready, turn around, go back out the way you came. On the way out, I didn't mark it on my GPS. I think it's about a mile or so from the exit. There is this huge rock that you're looking at in the video that is just covered in dinosaur prints. Unfortunately, I can't give you the exact location, but just know on your way out, it'll be on the right side of the canyon, looking down canyon. Keep an eye peeled. Hopefully you'll get lucky because it's definitely unique. Eventually, probably longer than you'll be happy about, come to the sign, find the exit, and the subway's last little treat to you is that 400-foot climb up that really steep hill to get back to your car. It's not easy, but it's worth it. That's going to do it for the video. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, something I didn't cover, leave a comment and I'll try my best to get back to you. And yeah, that's it. We're done here.